We're live with a little echo.
Yay!
What's up, guys? Welcome to Tone Talk. It's been a while since we did a show. I hope everybody's good. Our guest tonight is Derek Eastveld from Rev and Shawn Tubbs.
What is up, everybody?
Of Rev and Guitar Fandom.
Guitar Fandom.
And Dave Freed.
Hello.
So, guys, tell us if the echo is unbearable.
On my end, I don't hear any.
Yeah, does anybody on YouTube hear it?
Yeah, turn your echo plus off. Someone said, yeah, echo, they say. You got an echo going on. Yes, we know. That's why we're late.
And we're not sure why.
We don't know what to do.
Could all go to computer speakers and see what happens.
Yeah.
I can try that. You want me to do that?
We haven't tried that.
Yeah.
Yes, major echo only in Mark. It's bearable, they said. Really? It's better now.
DD3 off.
Yeah, we're going to spend 5 minutes talking about the echo. But now it's gone.
Mostly.
I think Dave turned off his mic.
No.
Okay.
Can you hear it?
Very low, but now I have an echo again.
You do?
It's coming and going. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I don't hear an echo on you anymore, Mark.
Okay.
No, it's pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to just whisper for the rest of the show. Hope you guys like that. It's going to be like the ASMR type thing. Hey, Tone Talk. Yeah.
I like that thought.
So first thing I want to say is you guys check out Sweetwater. That is our sponsor. Make sure you check out the link below. Now, Dave, if you did anything, now I have echo.
Yeah, I went back to my Thunderbolt. You still have it?
A little bit. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say take off your Thunderbolt.
Oh, God. I can't control the volume of my speakers. It's weird.
Oh, God.
Right?
How about now? Echo?
Yeah.
Hey.
Well,
I still have echo.
And now?
Hello?
No,
Hello?
we're good.
Hey.
Nope. No echo.
No echo. Okay, well, we'll go with the shitty audio.
All right, we'll figure this out next time. But right now, I think we're good.
I just used this like 2 days ago.
Huh. So weird. I mean, we were having echo last night when we tested. So
Yeah.
Someone else's. It's Mark. It's your problem.
I might have to go get a new Mac, which it's like I just got a Mac, but it's really in reality, it's like 7 years ago I got a Mac, but
That's really old now.
and no, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 5. But it's definitely old. So anyway, so guys, check out sweetwater.com, our sponsor for the show, please. And also I wanted to share, because if you guys have not been to their site, which is Sweetwater Gear Exchange, have you guys seen that? Sweetwater Gear Exchange, which is basically their competition, their online sales and used gear and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like their Reverb, right?
Right, their Reverb.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I am not a big fan of Reverb anymore, because at least for me, I see a lot of scammers on there now for some reason.
Okay.
People trying to reach out to you and try to buy stuff that and then or someone just recently tried to buy an amp from me and they weren't legit. They wanted to do the deal offline, and but they didn't really even want to do the deal offline. It was a bunch of crap. So the long and short of it is, Gear Exchange I don't think has that. I think there's no seller fees right now. So
No,
you guys should really,
if you
do credit, right?
you do the Sweetwater credit for your sales.
yeah, 0 seller fees and 0 transaction fees when you choose a Sweetwater gift card as your payout.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
forcing you to buy something from them,
Well, yeah, they know what they're doing, but I mean, it makes sense.
but no fees.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we used to do a lot of stuff through Reverb, and now we don't do a lot direct anymore through there. And even our dealer network that sells on Reverb, most of them are pretty annoyed with how high the fees are now. And it doesn't affect me as much being in Canada, but like I know you guys have a thing down south now that like if you sell over, is it like $800 or something on Reverb?
this
you have to
year.
report it.
This year,
like-
yeah.
You know, I was really pissed at that because I stopped selling stuff on Reverb last year, thinking that that's what was going to happen.
And then they changed
Yep.
it.
Wind up happening, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah. They did do that to everybody, and then people got scared. But yeah, I mean, Gear Exchange is a really great alternative, guys. If you want to sell your gear or buy used gear, it's owned by Sweetwater. And if you know anything about Sweetwater, you know it's going to be run really well, and you're going to have great, customer service if you need anything. So definitely check them out. All right. And then also our other sponsor is fixpedalboards.com.
hey, Mark, you don't have to talk into the mic.
I feel like I need to. Am I like on it right? Okay, should I? Well, I mean, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, aren't you going through your computer now, or no?
No. I'm
Oh,
going
you're
good.
not. Oh, never mind. I thought you were.
Yeah. Well, can you hear me okay? If I talk this, all right. Well, I don't want to be like,
So
massaging
who's
it.
going through their computer? Sean
I'm just using my computer mic. Yeah.
and me,
Mhm.
and you guys.
I'm
are
not.
He's
Yep.
not.
Yeah.
Derek's got a whole.
fault
and
is.
if once we get into it, we're going to look forward to hearing Derek show off some amps and some gear. So
Sure.
we're going to get into a whole bunch of stuff.
That
Um,
silky voice.
yeah.
Yes.
So make sure you guys check out fixpedalboards.com. Check out Tim and his website if you need any upgrades for your pedal boards. All right. And enough of that. So I really want to get into this conversation with you guys.
Is
been
Fix-
meaning to have you on
One
forever.
question, Mark. Sorry,
Yeah.
on that fixed pedal boards, is that the same guys that do like the magnetic risers?
Yes.
I bought a bunch of stuff from them last night for a new board that I'm building for NAMM. And I thought that's what you had said yesterday when we were talking about, or when you mentioned them to us. And yeah, last night at like 2 a.m, I was going on and I bought like the 26 or 28-inch magnetic riser thing. That's badass design.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use tons of stuff from them all the time. They got some
Yeah.
cool new
Yeah.
little interface boxes and stuff coming out and stuff. That'll be cool.
Oh, cool.
I'll have to Google
Awesome.
that. That's worth a Google.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it.
Here's the way you'll know for sure. So they're also the manufacturer of all of Vertex pedal boards.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right on.
Didn't know that.
Okay.
Cool. Okay.
And then they do all our chassis and any metal work that goes through boutique.
Oh, nice.
nice.
Okay.
So,
Wow. Right on. Oh, yeah, I see him. Cool. I will check that out.
brackets and things and such.
Yep.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. Dig
Yeah,
it.
that's very cool. Yeah, and he's getting more things too. And we're in the process. We're going to be building a pedal board for me that's going to feature those products. So
Awesome.
So we're going to
Okay.
feature that on the channel at some point this year.
Yeah, that's
Um,
very cool.
Yep. And the last thing I want to address, guys, is I want to thank everybody who reached out to me, who saw my post or heard that I was sick. And you guys, it meant so much to me for all the people who reached out to me and just wrote to me and wished me well and asked me how I was. And, it meant a lot. And just to give you a real quick background, I had passed out from working out too hard, and I wasn't drinking enough. As you can tell now, I've got this big bottle of water that I'm drinking all the time, and I'm trying to stay hydrated and stay healthy. So I was dieting and acting like I'm 20 again. So and I'm not as much as I'd like to be. So everybody's well wishes really meant a lot. I really, really appreciate it. So thank you all for reaching out to me and saying great things. So I'm on the mend. and I'll be fine, hopefully. So many more years of Tone Talk. All right, so we've got a bunch of questions already from people, guys. I promise we'll get to your super chat questions, but let's dive into Rev and Shawn and all that stuff. So when did Rev start, Derek?
So technically it started in 2012. So my partner, Dan, who's our president and designer, he started designing amps. He had been fixing amps locally, and he was a singer in like a hardcore / metal band. And he played a bit of guitar, but was never really happy. Like, he really likes modern high gain stuff. And he was never really happy with the amps that were available, especially here. Like, I'm up in like just outside of Winnipeg in Canada. And I mean, we don't get a lot of boutique stuff up here at all. You know, it's pretty much, you had the options of PV Marshall, Boogie, Orange, and man, like that's most of what you had the options of when him and I were, you know, in our teens and early 20s. So he decided he wanted to start designing something that, you know, would be a better representation of kind of the voice that he had in his head and what he, like, the sounds that he wanted. So he took about 2 years, year and a half to 2 years, to design the Generator 120, which is like our flagship 4-channel amp. And then I met him because I own a screen printing company, and he needed somebody to screen print chassis. And he brought down, originally it was just plates that were on the chassis, not the chassis itself. And he brought them down to me to screen print. And I was like, man, I'm like, you should bring the amp down. I'll do your printing work. No problem. I'm like, I want to check out the amp. And at the time I was playing a dual rectifier for high gain tones in like a pop punk and hard rock band. And then a Fender 410 DeVille for cleans. And he brought the 120 down, and I've always been a huge Boogie fan, but the Generator kind of fixed everything that I didn't like about my Boogie. So it's different than a Boogie, but you know, the same complaint a lot of guitar players have about the rectifier, about the low end being really muddy and you have to, you know, use a boost pedal or something to tighten it up. I was also not smart enough to use a boost pedal back then to tighten it up, so I just dealt with the fact that it always sounded really boomy and muddy. Yeah, and it was the first high gain amp that I had played that sounded like that, because prior to that, I had always played, whenever I played Marshalls, the ones that I always had access to up here always sounded really thin. So I actually didn't get into Marshalls until like probably 6 or 7 years ago. So yeah, so him and I met in 2014, and because I owned a screen printing company, I also printed a lot of band merch at the time. So I played the amp, loved it, asked him what his plans were to, you know, produce it, market it and sell it. He didn't really have plans or the ability, and I had a facility with CNC routers and stuff like that for my printing company. So I asked him if he wanted to partner, and that was the start of it becoming what it kind of is now. Was prior to that, everything was, you know, hand wired, you know, built one at a time by him, and it took him, you know, probably 24 to 30 man hours to do an amp. So
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
When did you realize you made a mistake?
It was a lot of money, man. I used to have a fun joke with people about
money, and now I don't have any left.
I was gonna say the joke was, what's the best way to make $1 million, and it was to spend $2 million on an amp company. So I mean, we didn't spend that kind of money, but yeah, it was. I mean, it was 5-6 years of like losing a lot of money, and
oh yeah,
and I mean, yeah, I mean, you know what it's like. And it's just, I mean, when it's something that you love, I mean, there's nothing I would rather do in life than what I do. Like, it is, yeah, I absolutely love our industry. I love gear. I mean, I remember, Dave, like when I don't even know if I had first met you, but like one of my first interactions with you
hasn't been beaten out of you yet.
No, I had FedEx completely destroyed my BE 100 that I bought. I got one, and I was like, I got it, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. I remember playing your amps at the NAMM Show and just being blown away. And I was like, I finally got one, and it gets here, and they destroyed the head shell. It was the plates on it were cracked and stuff, and it was 100% a FedEx issue. Like they dropped it off a truck. And I remember emailing you being like, I have this amp and I'm wondering if I can get you to fix it. And you were like, strange that your email says you're the VP of Rev and you have one of my amps. And I was like, I actually have two now because I just bought the Phil X. And I'm like, we do something so different from what you guys do. And I mean, Shawn's known me long enough to know this. I love amplifiers. I don't know shit about circuits compared to you guys or Dan, but I just love great sounding stuff. So yeah, so I've kind of collected things all along the way. And that's, when I got the chance to kind of partner up with Dan, I was like, this is probably the best thing I could do with my life. Yeah.
Well, that's a good answer.
Good answer.
Thanks. I rehearsed it a lot. Like, I was here all afternoon thinking, okay, I got to say the right thing.
Try to keep the smile on your face to really hide your
yeah.
the music industry.
I'm actually crying right now. You just can't tell. Yeah.
That's so
No,
funny.
I mean,
You haven't been at it as long as like Shawn and I have been doing this.
No. And I mean, we've been fortunate. Like we got to the, like, I know a lot of companies that go a lot longer than 5 years till they start to do well. Yeah. Oh, I mean,
some days.
I mean, we wouldn't do this if we didn't love it. I mean, the people who think that any of us get rich in this industry doing this, I mean, man, there's so many other things that we could do in life that would pay better and that you wouldn't work till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning working on than this. But it's just,
I don't do that.
yeah, it's just the best. Oh yeah. I sometimes don't have a choice.
I remember days when I used to have to do like rigs for people, and then there was like some sort of deadline. And if you were really close to the deadline, it was like, well, guess we're gonna have to stay up all night doing this.
Yeah.
I remember having to go to Home Depot because they would have. I ran out of something stupid, like something that they would have.
Yeah.
And I had to go there like 2 a.m. at like a 24-hour Home Depot or something one time when I was finishing a rig. Oh.
I thankfully don't have to do the overnight things anymore, but I do remember probably about it's got to be at least the first 4 NAMM shows that we did, that before we left, when we're getting ready to pack a truck and trailer, like it's, a month, like literally the month before, my wife would be so mad at me because it's right around Christmas time and you're like, well, gonna head out to the shop for a bit because if I don't get this done, we won't have a booth or we won't get it shipped there in time to be able to set it up. And they have all their stupid rules about if you're late, you pay $1 billion to get your stuff into the damn show. So yeah. So thankfully some of those days are over, but it's, there's still lots of, it's not a 9-to-5 job.
You guys gonna force me to come to the NAMM show and see you guys?
Yes, please.
When is it,
Dave?
April.
When is it? April. Yeah, it's
around the 15th or something, wasn't it? Or something? 12th?
Yeah, 13 to 15. I mean, I don't want to hijack the conversation, but I would love to know what you guys think about NAMM right now. I would love to hear that.
You're not hijacking the conversation.
Okay.
For us, I don't think it will ever exist again.
Yeah.
I mean, slowly over the years, it really didn't become, it wasn't a trade show anymore. It wasn't trade per se. It was a lot of end users going to the show because they got their passes and then taking up your time and you playing the amps for them. And that's all fun and cool.
Yep.
There's a social thing that's fun about it.
Yep.
But, after you've talked to your 5,000th person,
yeah,
if someone else comes up to you and stops you on your way to get a beer, you're gonna rip their head off.
Yeah,
because I remember a couple times in the last couple shows we did, it was like, I have to leave for a minute.
It can get overwhelming.
I'm gonna go get a beer and walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, what percentage of the time would you say that those 4 days that you were there, you were actually spending with time with dealers as opposed to the end user?
Oh, I don't know, 10 minutes.
Yeah, right.
The whole show.
No,
I mean, occasionally we had a dealer or we did a video or something, but that's minimal per day. I mean, I don't know if you per day, an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's hard to say.
But it's a very
I
small
start
percentage.
Talking at 10 o'clock and stop talking at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, whenever it ended. I can't even remember now.
Yeah.
And never stop talking.
Yeah.
I
Never
remember
stop
we'd all
shouting.
get in the car to go to dinner and the radio would come on. It was just like, how fast could you get to the radio to turn it off?
Yep.
Just no one talk. Everyone be silent. We're all just driving to dinner. Shut up.
Oh man, like
shut up.
I remember
guys anything for a while.
Guys coming with us and like that we would get passes into the show because you know they're close friends from home that really wanted to go that are players, and they're wanting us to go out after the show to like whatever show, and I'm like, oh no, we have an Airbnb and I'm going to stay there and I'm going to eat dinner and then I'm going to have a drink and then I'm going to go to bed because I have no desire to go to a concert tonight. Yeah. I heard
I learned that
7,000 concerts at once. Yeah.
As I got older, it was we had a bar at the booth. So after a while,
I remember that.
Yeah, after a while, it was like you do all your drinking and all your talking and all your hanging out during the day.
Yeah.
And you have dinner and you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works out really well. You don't have a hangover generally. You're good.
Yeah.
You're a little liquored out by the end of the show, but
see, I had the luxury of going to the show as an end user, not really, or as a YouTuber, I should say, as opposed to. So I went to the shows afterward and stayed out late and tried. So it was really enjoyable for me. But if I had to work it would be a whole different story.
The big discussion always every evening is where are we going to dinner?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the big discussion.
Mm-hmm.
That is never the discussion for us. We're always like, we're going back home. My brother comes, we call him the NAMM Mom. And like, by the time we get back to the house, my brother Scotty has made some sort of dinner for, the 10 of us that are staying at the house. And that's what we do. Or we go back and we, grill up some tacos or something and just have a hang at the house. But yeah,
well,
that's cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
I like going out to the dinners though.
I love it. I still love the show. It feels like summer camp to me still, like that's what it is where, I mean, especially I'm not in Los Angeles or Nashville. So I don't get to see people anywhere near as much because I mean, Winnipeg is not a hot spot for artists or for people to come. So yeah. So, and I mean, I always loved when it's in January and I can escape the ridiculous cold up here for, I typically take advantage of being in California for like 3 weeks then. Between setup and show and then hang out after the show. But I 100% hear you. I mean, the NAMM Show has almost never been about dealer sales and stuff like that for us because we kind of came into it at the tail end of like that was, it was all dying off where even dealers that were coming wouldn't write orders, like good dealers of ours, like Tolman wouldn't write orders for us off the show floor anymore. And I was like, yeah, there's really, to me, the show just became about exactly what Mark is talking about: YouTube marketing, branding, and those end user tourists.
It's good sometimes. I mean, like when we were doing guitars, are we still doing guitars? When we were doing guitars, and you had 1 million guitars in the wall, and the dealers would come, they would tend to pick the guitars.
Yeah,
and they would get all cherry picked quick.
Yeah,
and if you have 20, 30 guitars in the wall, it's like they're gone.
Yeah,
which that's cool.
Yeah, it's fun when, I mean, not that we're in this just to sell stuff, but it's fun when you're watching your stuff move and having dealers get excited about things and pick stuff up. That's a ton of fun. But yeah, that's been few and far between at the last few shows, but I would just love it if they would just make it cheaper.
I started going to these shows in probably like 1988. And before the internet.
Yeah.
Remember, kiddies, there were no internet back then.
And that's when it was really probably.
And that actually was a trade show, and boy, was that the heyday of the trade show.
Yeah.
Shawn, did you ever go back to the show back then?
What's this?
NAMM Show back in like late 80s.
I went to the ones I had to go to because I was working for Mesa.
Which was when?
That would have been late 80s, early 90s. Yeah.
Right. So that's like the heyday of NAMM.
Mm-hmm. And they were crazy.
You saw some shit there.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a completely different ball game than, as far as I'm concerned, than it is now. I mean, it's still it's kind of whatever. COVID kind of messed everything up and whatever happened. But yeah, back then I was just talking to a friend of mine because I got this guitar back that I bought in 1990 and had sold to a friend of mine, and just got it back. But I was talking about
the Valley Arts.
Yeah, and I was saying, man, when I went to the NAMM show, if you wanted to go see the cats, like the guys, like Steve Lukather, I mean, you name it, they were all hanging out. Go to the Valley Arts booth. They're all hanging out, you know. So there, and not that doesn't happen in shows now, but it just seems like that was like, yeah, that was the heyday where you just saw everything. You know, it was just way crazier back then.
For sure.
And guitar, I would say back then also was more popular, probably.
Absolutely.
Lots of women too.
Yes.
Yes, lots.
Quite a few. Yeah.
Lots of what? What'd you say?
Women.
Oh, women. Yeah, you don't see that very often.
Not like it used to be.
No. Once again, it was a different scene.
Yeah.
It was just so different back then.
Now the question that I have is, you know, since Rev is going, and it's still a viable show. There's no doubt.
Other people are going.
What's that?
Not many other people are going.
Well, I guess the question is, who else is going? I mean, are any big brands going?
My mom.
No, I don't.
Gibson. Who?
My mom's going.
Oh, awesome.
No. Gibson's not there. Fender's not there. PRS isn't there. Last year, the biggest amp companies were Laney, Blackstar, Driftwood, us. Mezza Barba was technically there, but I only saw one amp at their booth. Like, I don't know what was going on. Like, it was like a small 10x10 booth with a banner and one amp. And then there was a couple of amp companies I'd never heard of before. Yeah, so there wasn't much. Like in amplifiers, obviously Boutique's not there. Orange isn't there. Like
I think
Vox.
Red 7's going to be there this year.
Yeah, Red 7.
It looks more like the way Summer NAMM often looks right now. Like it looks like you have a lot more of the like newer startup brands or like brands that are a few years into it that are coming to the show. It does look like there are more brands signed up. Like I don't know about amps or electronics, but like just more companies period are signed up compared to what it was in June, like this past June. So I think there'll be a few more people, but I don't know what you can do to convince, like Boutique or Friedman, like you guys, or anybody to come back.
Booth, you know what it kind of costs for a booth?
Yeah. It's insane.
I think ours was 50 by 50.
It'd be bigger than that. Yours would have been like 50 by, I want to say 50 by 100, maybe. Like we're
like that.
We're 30 by 50.
Like $60,000 just for this floor.
Yes. Yep.
Something like that. Just for the floor. Yeah. That doesn't count anything else. Freight in, freight out, union, anyone that, because you got to supervise them putting up the wall or plugging in something.
Yep.
Electrical charges.
Oh, this year we got nailed that they tried to tell us that we had to pay for our electrical to be dropped from the roof because they hadn't done it before the show. So like typically for anybody watching that, wants the skinny on NAMM, like just a single 20 amp circuit is between $350 and $400 to rent for 3 days or 4 days. They tried to charge us $1,200 this year because they had to bring a sky or like a scissor lift in to do it. And I'm like, that should have been done before we got here. Like I've done NAMM for like 8 or 9 years now, and this has always been the way that it is. And yeah, but like they cheaped out like so hard in June. Like there was no carpet in the aisles. Like they did everything they could to save some money at the past show. But that's why I love this. Like I love summer NAMM more than winter NAMM. I mean, I'm also like if I didn't live where I live, I would live in Nashville. So, yeah, but like it's not a union venue, right? Like you can load your own stuff in, you can build your own booth, and it's the cost for the floor is 50% of what it is in California. But
Yeah.
there's also way less people, you know, definitely way less artists there. So, but I always like, I'm a gear nut. So like what I love about Summer NAMM is that like you'll get all these little boutique pedal manufacturers that you've never heard of that have the coolest shit that they can afford to just get a small table there. So I've gotten so many pedals from people that you never hear of that it's just cool shit because they could never afford to do LA, or if they did, it's with that like the Delhi like stomp box exhibit thing where there's like a bunch of pedal boards with like, you know, 20 or 30 different pedal brands. So it's hard to have anything kind of stand out when it's all on a board together.
You want some more pedals? Because I got a ton for sale.
I just bought, I don't know, Shawn, can I out you?
Yeah.
I just bought like 40 or 50 pedals from Shawn, so I'm good for a minute because I haven't even tried any of them yet. But like
video pedals.
What's that? Yeah,
lots of video pedals.
Yeah.
Well, the idea behind it is if I know I'm not going to use them, rather than just selling them and they're gone, I sell them to Derek for considerably less than I could make for them. But what's cool is they end up on camera again. That's the whole idea. Is Derek will use those in a Gear and Beer thing. He'll bring them back out and talk about them. Because otherwise, I just don't like to do that. I mean, Derek, if I've got pedals that I know it's like, okay, this is a great pedal, but I know I'm not going to use it, I'll usually wait about a year. Yeah. And then I'll just ring up Derek. I don't make any substantial money on them at all.
No.
Derek can attest.
It's part of your deal though, too. You know, it's just like,
yeah. I mean, they're my pedal.
So it's the video, and the part of the deal is you get the pedal also, and it's yours to do what you will with.
Yeah. Right. Yep. But for me, it's like I don't want to make money off of the pedal. That's not for me. If it's just sitting here, I sell it to Derek. Like I said, Derek knows really cheap for like a big lot of pedals, and then he brings them back out. You know, I'd rather. And
then I sell them for way too much money.
And then he makes a bunch of money on them.
And I buy Shawn dinner the next time I'm in Nashville.
Yeah, it's used by Shawn Tubbs.
Yeah, I ask him like, man, you sold me like 40 some pedals on the last one, and I'm like, did you want to sign each one for me so that when I go to list them, I get a little extra scratch on it?
Speaking of pedals,
oh yeah,
we've got the Tilt right here.
Oh yeah,
nice.
Great pedal.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
that means a lot. Thank you.
I haven't heard it yet.
Oh really?
I haven't tried it yet.
You know, it's what I really like about it. You know, obviously the independence, but you know I really like the shaping here that you've got here for the tight.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's just a great pedal, guys. If you ever want to check out a different drive and boost, check out the Rev Tilt.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah.
Plus it's got his signature on the back.
See?
I can sell it. Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
Oh man. So actually, Shawn, how did you hook up with Rev?
That was through Derek. What was it? 5 years now?
Yeah, probably at least that.
Yeah, because he had reached out. I'll probably get it wrong because I always do. But he had reached out about possibly just demoing some products is really how we met. And then it just kind of went from there. I thought it was a great product. He and I started just kind of working more together. And then, you know, long story short, kind of went from that to coming on board with, you know, R&D and getting sounds and, you know, just being more kind of vested and involved in the company.
Well, I love it.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I mean, I love that. I mean, I like the sounds. You know, I like sitting with someone that like Dan who knows how to do it and me going, hey, can we get it to do this? Or can we get it more spread out? Or can we bring this way? And so for me, it's like, I love it. Like I'm a kid in a candy store when I can just hang out with a cat that knows what he's doing and just get sounds and be like, oh, let's make that. Let's leave that. Let's don't touch that. You know? So it's been a lot of fun.
I bet.
Yeah, cool.
Get your dream sounds, you know?
Yeah, like we met because we had a mutual friend in he was a hard rock singer actually named Trevor that knew Shawn because Shawn had played on some of his stuff,
Yeah.
and I had seen some of Shawn's videos. And I honestly, I mean, this isn't me just kissing Shawn's ass. I don't think there's anybody online that our products or anybody's products for that matter sound better through their hands than Shawn. And that was the biggest draw to me. Is like, I remember when we were talking about you coming on board at first doing, I mean, you helped us with a lot of like the like voice, well, not so much the voicing, but a lot of like the like kind of final like touches on the D20. Like we were building it, and I said like, hey, we've got this little pedal platform amp, and I'd love your opinion. I'd love to know what you think should be different. And that's kind of around when we started like down that path. And I had hired you to do a bunch of videos. And I had said like, man, if you ever need a gig, like we need to do more of our own in-house video stuff. And we've got, we also have a Sammy, like you've got with Sammy Bowler, but we've got Sammy Jacobs that works here and has worked with me since, oh man, like 2015. And he's our like in-house metal dude. And I'm like, we've got stuff that isn't just for metal. And I'm like, Shawn, this stuff sounds amazing when you play it. So yeah, that's kind of what, sparked it for me, that I was like, I want guys that make things sound great and that their videos look and sound great. And, we got talking, and that's kind of how it started. And then I realized how good his ears were too, not just his hands. And I was like, shit, you and Dan need to hang out more when Dan's voicing stuff. And yeah, and that's how Shawn kind of moved to like R&D side of thing, or product development, or I don't know what the hell we're supposed to call what you do here. A little bit of everything.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of everything, really.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you're talking about. That's for sure.
I don't know. It's funny when people talk about, I was talking to another guitar player about that. Everybody always says, well, the tone's in the hands. It's like, well, this guy could plug into a litter box and it would sound great. And no, you can't. I certainly can't. But what I will say is, when I think of guitar players like David Grissom, Eric Johnson, the late great Jeff Beck. You name it, Robin Ford, Larry Carlton, you name your favorite guitar player, Phil X, Eric Gales. Any one of these cats, man, they can sound, they can sound like them no matter what. They will make it happen. But what you will never feel is the degree of struggle they went through to achieve that tone if it was something that was not happening. So that's the thing. For me, it's like, yeah, I can plug into pretty much anything and I'll sound like me. But you won't know the amount. You might be able to see the look in my eyes, but you won't know the amount of struggle. Now, like in a demo video, I don't do the guitar player tricks because I'm demoing a product. But if I just have to plug into something and let's go, then yeah, I've got all kinds of tricks that I employ to get my sound. I'll play completely differently right hand. I'll turn picks. There's all kinds of tricks. I'll roll tones. And yeah, it'll sound like me. Was I happy? Probably not. So therein lies, like, it's the degrees of struggle to arrive at that sound, if that makes any sense. Maybe it doesn't, but.
No, it makes sense. Totally.
It makes sense, but I have to tell you that the gear does not make the sound, though, totally.
No, there's characteristics within the gear. If you
put someone that has what I kind of call awful sounding hands, or concrete hands, as sometimes I've referred them to, and you plug into an amp is sounding great, and they plug in and you're just like, did it break? Did it break? Why does it sound like there's no gain when it's on the lead channel?
Right. Well, and that's the thing. People have completely different
no gain hands. I've seen that a bunch of times where, like, Phil X will turn the gain way the hell down and still sound like he has enough gain. And and same with you. But other guys it's on hyperdrive and it still like sounds like the notes dying off as they're trying to play. I can never quite understand it.
Yeah, I think it's just different guitar players react differently. I think for myself, I I will always kind of play into it. So I will, I'll adjust my right hand attack without reaching for gain.
Right.
But I do, there's a lot of guitar players that I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but I have noticed there's guitar players that, you can, from one guitar player to the next, they play the way they play and they're not going to adjust into it. And I think that's kind of part of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it. It's like all guitar players are different. Everybody's got like a different touch. The gear will not save you, but the characteristic of the gear and how it feels and sounds under your hands is what's going to inspire you.
Correct.
So for me, that's what I always point people towards. It's like, this gear isn't here to fix anything, but it is here to inspire you. If it's the right piece of gear, it'll inspire you. And even for me, I mean, Pete Thorne, if there's something I haven't heard, I still go to Pete Thorne if he's down with it and check him out. But then I try to find as many guys that have played the same product so I can hear all the different hands, because I've got a really good idea with Pete. It's like, okay, I think that's the characteristic. Now let me hear a bunch of other cats, and then I'll know pretty much, okay, the character is what I'm interested in, and I go from there, But yeah, it's what inspires me. Nothing will save me. I figured that out the hard way, but there is gear that inspires me for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a good pedal that'll inspire you, right?
Or amp or guitar that feels great.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what we all signed up for, man, is to be smiling while we're playing. That's
right.
So if it's
be like,
amp,
oh, shit, that sounds great. Yeah.
Speaker
Well,
cap,
to want to keep playing, right?
Yeah.
Like to want to keep, that's always the benchmark for me of whether or not I think something's a good piece of gear. I don't really care that much about what it costs, or honestly, like Shawn and I are a little bit like this, that like what the perceived build quality of something is. You know what I mean? Like if it, just because it looks like a piece of shit doesn't mean it is. And if when I'm playing, I find that I'm wanting to keep playing whatever it is, and I forget about, my phone or whatever other things that are a normal distraction for me. That's the thing that I'm always chasing. I mean, that's what drew me to your amps, Dave. Like the first time I played the BE 100, I wasn't a big like British sound or like Marshall sound guy at all. And I was like, these amps are unbelievable because they feel so unbelievably good. And I'd always had a like pretty, not even a love-hate, like pretty much a hate relationship with Marshalls and any sort of British voice amps, because I always felt that they were too stiff. And like I couldn't believe how much sag was in. Yeah,
I don't think you'd say that if you grew up on like plexi style amps and stuff, because I don't think those are stiff.
Well, what's
those are cranked up. They have this gushy feel to them.
Yes,
and that's what I was always trying to emulate.
Right. Yeah, I remember playing like 800s, and probably one of my first amps was a 70s 212 Marshall combo that would have had to have been a JMP. Yeah, I don't remember. I was like, I was like 14, and man, I hated it because it didn't, like, I had the gain dimed, and like it felt stiff. I mean, part of that was that I was a shit player when I was 14. So, as you get better, you start to learn how to play stuff. And like you were just saying about like Phil X, that he's like rolling the gain off, and I find that the older I get, and the better my hands get, the more that I'm doing that too. You know what I mean? The more that, the gain keeps pulling back because I want things to be like crisper and tighter as I'm playing. But yeah, I remember it was a BE 100, and then I got to play 74 JMP 100 watt, and that was the amp that as soon as I played it, that I was like, this isn't a Marshall, like this isn't what I've been, what I've been exposed to for the last 20 years. And then that set me off on, like, I got an 82 JCM 850 watt that it has some sort of mod, I don't know what it is, but same thing, really like saturates really well. Doesn't feel stiff. It feels unbelievable. And, and now I've got a bunch of Marshalls because I kept chasing that same thing.
You got one next to you, right? That we were talking about.
Yeah, I just got this, actually. You guys know Justin Bryant, right? From Two Notes?
Yeah.
I just got this from Justin, that it's a 72 50 watt. He told me it's plexi circuit. I don't know anything else about it. He just said he was selling it, and I said how much, and he told me, and I was like, yeah, send it over. Like, and I'll check it out. But it's been, he says it's been unmodded. So I don't know if it's been recapped or anything yet. I haven't been inside it, nor would I really know what I'm looking for.
Could be a lead spec maybe.
Yeah, but it sounds great. Looks badass too. It's in good shape. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you got quite the wall behind you.
Thanks.
I have amp envy. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a beautiful background. So what do we
Yeah,
got?
I mean, we've got lots of stuff. I mean, some of the stuff that we get, like full disclosure, we'll get guys that will email in and say like, hey, I want to buy a generator. I just got to sell my Revision G triple rectifier. And I'm like, well, I like those. So how much do you want for it? And maybe we can take it off what you're paying for your amp.
This is not how you make money, by the way.
No, I know. No, I am not a good picture of how you make money in this
There
industry.
might be a flaw in this thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have fun toys. Yeah. So I mean, I've gotten a bunch of stuff that way. But yeah, it's yeah. There's
He's
lots of
got
fun
that
things.
Wagner ecstasy back there, right?
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, there was this big auction that happened up in Canada. I came back from NAMM and I got COVID at NAMM for the first time.
Oh.
So when I got home, I had to like quarantine or like, yeah, hang out. And there was this auction for, I don't know if it was the guy was a player or if he was like a doctor or a lawyer or something, but he had like, man, there was 1,200 different listings. What did he have? Like 10 or 12 Tylers in this auction, like 100 like Artist Series PRSs or
Wow.
some insane amount. And there was almost nothing vintage, but he had a boatload of amps. And there was 3 that I wanted. One was this Marshall AFD 100, like the slash amp.
Oh, I've wanted that amp.
I had one of those I bought it when it came out. I loved it. I bought it cheap. I bought it on eBay for like $1,200 or $1,400.
Wow, that's a good price.
And I ended up selling it because like for everybody about what amps I had early on with Rev, and I was listing them off. He's like, oh, you have one of those AFD 100s? He's like, man, those are worth a lot of money. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, they're like $3,000-4,000 on eBay. And I was like, all right. So I shipped it off. I sold it on eBay like 2 days later and bought my kids a play structure for our backyard. And like right afterwards, I'm like, I'm glad my kids have a play structure, but why did I sell that? That amp was awesome. So yeah.
There.
What's that?
You got a fluffy friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sit there for a minute.
Yeah, when she wants in, she will just howl if I don't let her in. So
Yeah, so I got that AFD, I got the Soldano, the SLO 100, and I got the Bogner XSC, like the 101B. I got all of them in this auction, and I got them cheap. Like it was in Canada, so it was in Canadian dollars. But if I converted to US dollars, like the AFD would have been like maybe $2,000, probably a little bit less than that. The SLO was like $1,800.
What?
That was important.
Like. Wow. Yep, and the Ecstasy was even cheaper in US dollars. It would have been like $1,700. So, like,
what year is the SLO?
I actually don't know.
Wow.
I think early 2000s maybe.
Okay, so
it's not really old, but yeah, but it's yeah, they were cool amps, and it was not expensive for what they go for.
Oh,
so,
nowadays, old Soldanos before. People are asking crazy prices.
$5,000.
Yeah.
Well, if it was really something special, then maybe $15,000.
Yeah, like
if it was 90s snakeskin
or owned by Dan Huff.
Yeah,
that would do it.
Was that who it was owned by Dan? What's that?
Mike Landau.
Mike Landau. Oh, I was thinking Dan Huff. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Same vein though.
But the funny thing is, the guy that bought that from me, I think, wound up selling it and then buying even slightly older one that used to belong to Aldo Nova.
Wow.
Like only a few numbers before. Like mine was number 13 and he got number 7 or something.
I was going to say, yeah, because Aldo Nova was really early on that list when Mike showed that list of people.
5, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I go, it's the same amp, right?
No, the
red-
serial
and the
number's
red
different,
was
Dave.
cooler.
Yeah. No,
But
the
okay,
number's
you paid
different.
me.
It was
Yeah.
owned by a different guy. So
Yeah,
That's-
it's
that's
like,
fine.
okay, you paid me.
Yeah.
I'd love to get Eddie Van Halen's SLO.
Jeez.
He has two. Good
Yeah.
luck. No,
Mm.
never.
Yeah. I wonder if he still has them though. Or if,
Yeah,
and
they're
if
still there.
Wolf has them. Yeah, they're still there.
Everything's still there. They didn't sell anything ever.
Wow.
Wow.
Amazing.
Ever. And I don't think they ever plan on selling anything. So
Wow.
As long as they don't have to.
unless
Yeah.
they're going to sell something for charity or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So also, I forgot to mention, Derek and Shawn have their own show on the Red Channel called Gear and Beer. And
Yep.
so you guys should definitely check out their show. I checked it out. It's great.
I didn't even know about it.
Oh, yeah?
No.
When did it start? When did you guys
I've
start
never
doing
seen it
Wow.
advertised in front
it?
of
Well,
me.
look at that. Look how professional you guys are. You're making our show look like shit. What's going on?
We have a team of people that know how to do media here.
It's
and that
all run
neither
by this
Shawn or
guy,
I are. Sean and I are neither of them.
I know. 'Cause, I
Um,
mean, obviously, I'm using my FaceTime camera on my Mac, so there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we started doing it like it started actually as like in-person events, and we actually just did another one this past week in Nashville, where that's what we used to call like trying to get people to come out and check stuff out. Was Gear and Beer, like come out and we'd get a venue and have a bunch of beer and a bunch of hot chicken or something, and yeah, and sit down and mess around for a while.
That should be
Yeah.
the new amp show.
Yes,
Gear
Yeah.
and Beer. And that's what
Yes.
it's called. And
and could it not?
together and throw it?
I was gonna say, could it not be in the hotel in wherever the
Like a
hell
hot-
that was, and
No, you mean in
Oh
the-
no, it wouldn't be
Yeah.
here. I don't think.
the airport hotel in Van Nuys or whatever it was.
that was the LA Amp show?
You guys wanted me to tell a funny?
Some of those years were great.
Yeah. Do you guys want me to tell a funny story about the first time I went to that show
Sure.
and how I made a bit of an ass of myself to a few people? So we were in the bar afterwards, and it was the first, like we had done one NAMM show, I think, and then Dan and I went to do the LA Amp show. And I remember being in the bar, and like there's a bunch of people that I saw at the show, but I didn't know anybody. I remember Dan talking to me about Randall Smith one time, and I was like, "Is that the guy who started Randall?" And he's like, "You play Mesa Boogie stuff, and you don't know who Randall Smith is." I'm like, "Yeah, no, I know the Rectifier and I know the Mark series and the Electrodyne and the stuff that I like." I'm like, I've never really cared that much about the
brand.
people behind it, right? I know. Yeah, funny that we try to do our own show now. But I remember being in the bar, and there was this dude in the bar that was wearing a cape and had 3 man buns, and I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And Dan just starts
Wagner?
laughing at me. And he's
I-
like, "That's Reinhold Wagner." And
Yeah,
I was like,
gonna
"What?"
say, that's Bogner, right? Yeah. As soon as you described it, I was like, "That's Bogner."
Shocking.
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh." And I had an Uber shawl at the time, and I was like, I had no idea. And Dan looked at me. He's like, "I'm the most normal amp designer you're ever gonna meet." And I'm like, "Oh boy."
Was I exhibiting at that one?
You were. I don't know if you were. That's when I think that was the first time that I played the BE. I knew Phil X a little bit. Actually, the same guy that I met Shawn through is who I met Phil through.
I must have been in the bar when you were experiencing that.
Oh, probably. Yeah, it was.
We were drinking
It was
tequila
hilarious.
in the corner somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, it was.
It
It was hilarious.
I got to say, the heyday of that amp show was awesome because it was all in the rooms and it was all like your
Yeah.
own little private thing. You can you could play as loud as you fucking want.
Yep.
No one cared, and they had a great bar. And
My
it
favorite.
was open all day early on until the
Yeah.
later years, and then it opened at like 5 or 6, and it's like, but wait, we can't get a drink during the day.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Oh,
You gotta
cool.
day drink those things.
What I loved about that show is, I mean, again, we're pretty insulated up here in Winnipeg from the entire industry, right? Like, there's not a lot of gear manufacturers anywhere close to us. So I remember George Metropolis coming into our room to check stuff out, and he came in with beers and handed them to Dan and I right away and said, "Hey, I'm George. You should come over and try our stuff." And yeah, he sat and listened to our stuff. He's like, "That's great. It's like, it sounds great. And then we went over and checked out his stuff, which is also great. But yeah, I just love the fact that I've never really experienced a lot of like shitty competition within our industry. I know that some of it exists, but like Dave, you and I have never had that. Like, you know, anytime I've ever seen you or met you, like I've always loved what you do, and we don't do anything similar to what you guys do. And yeah, and it's
fair. I mean, like, how I look at it is we all make our own product.
Yeah.
And we voice our product however we voiced our product. The consumer is going to decide if they want to buy either one or both.
They're going to buy both. The majority of them.
And you know, they're going to figure out what they like.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do that's going to sway them either way.
No.
You know, it's not.
Well,
I mean, yeah, you can have good marketing and stuff, and you can put it in front of this, but
there's one thing that you can do, which is that you can present your brand in a way that it becomes attractive to people. And normally the way that works is if you just aren't a piece of shit. Like if you're just good people and you love what you do, that becomes infectious to people. And then they decide, okay, is the voice of whatever you do, is that for me? And then they end up gravitating towards that. But you don't see that a lot in other industries, right? Like, you know, there's more camaraderie in our industry among brands that a lot of people would consider to be competitors than I've seen in any other industry that I've worked in. So, yeah,
well, it's just like, you know, it's just like I'm friends with all those people. I mean, like, I go way back with Mike Soldano and way back with Stevie Fryette and way back with Bruce Egnater and Bogner, even from the beginning. Yeah. I don't really talk to Bogner anymore, but that's a whole different story. But we're all like, we all know each other. We're all like friendly with each other. We're all, you know, it's fine. You know, everything's no one.
I was going to say, for the most part,
the only one that got weird about anything was Bogner.
Yeah, he's just a weird dude, though, man.
Well, you know, I don't know.
Yeah,
he's a character. Let's just say that.
Like I said, you know, I'll never forget the NAMM show when he went in a see-through outfit.
Well, the time I saw
it was a transparent plastic jumpsuit. It's kind of like frosted, shall we say, but pretty transparent.
I think I saw that.
And he wasn't wearing anything under it.
Well, no, because it would get hot.
I remember walking up to his booth with someone. I don't remember who I was with. And we walked up to his booth, and I kind of look at him, see in the face first, and then I just kind of look up and down. And I'm like, oh, my God. He did get removed.
Oh,
did
yeah.
he really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's very hairy. That's all I have to say.
That's why he got removed.
And you saw way too much. You did not want to see this. There was nothing covered up.
Oh, man. This was at NAMM or at the hotel?
This was at NAMM exhibiting.
Wow.
That's crazy.
It's an all-time highlight.
Wow.
He lives in a different world, though, than the rest of us.
Absolutely.
I think. Like,
Absolutely.
Has Dennis ever told you his story? And maybe I shouldn't tell any part of it, but has he ever told you the story about them bringing, when he was still at Music Productif, bringing Reinhold over to Music Festa? Yeah, and he disappeared and they couldn't find him.
In Germany, no, but yes, Dennis didn't. But Avi's told me that story.
Oh yeah,
Avi's like, he like came to the show one day and then we didn't see him and we didn't know what happened to him.
I don't think he made it. Well,
the town looking for him.
Dennis told me he didn't make it to the show. Dennis told me he was there during setup.
Yeah.
Once the show started, he had stayed at a bar drinking the night before, and just that was it. He was gone. And then
all night
after the show was over,
multi-day bender.
That was a few years before. That was within the past few years, right before COVID, right?
No,
yeah.
This was quite a while ago.
Yeah, probably even before that. But like,
Yeah,
but still, like, Dennis was like, we flew him over here to do the show and paid for everything, and he didn't show up for any of it. Just went on a bender. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, they were looking at drug flop houses and all sorts of things.
Yeah.
It was like crazy, from what I understand.
Yeah. It was a fun story if you guys ever meet Dennis. So
But yeah, I mean, like we were saying about the amps, it's like, the customer will decide. It's just like,
Yep.
Just like you, Shawn, do some videos. Hey, I think I want this amp.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, my DS40, I bought that
Long time.
sight and ears unheard or seen, because I knew it would be great, and I still love it. And then when I demoed the BE100 Deluxe, I was like, okay, that needs to stay here. How do we figure this out?
We worked it out.
Yeah, it's been great, man. It's been great.
he has held that over me repeatedly, that he has the Deluxe and that I don't, since he got it. He's like, you need to get this, the Plexi channel on it's amazing.
You know what?
And then
I think I know what you need to get.
oh yeah,
You need to get the SS100.
oh yeah, the new Steve Stevens,
Newest one, the V2.
yeah.
That one's
Our,
pretty fucking badass.
So our graphic designer and videographer who did the nice logo that you put up for us, Mark, his name's Dorian. Dorian's got a BE100, and he's the one I bought the Phil X from. And he is like constantly like, man, he's like, that new Steve Stevens Friedman. He's like, fuck, how do I fucking get that? And I'm like, you buy one from somebody. Like, that's how this works. But yeah, so, but as soon as it came out, like as soon as I got into the office, Dorian's like in my office. She's like,
or wait, I got another one. Or the rarest of rare now, the Jakey Lee signature amp that we only did 200 of.
Yeah. Obviously, Steve Gray.
Yeah.
Steve talks to me about his all the time. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Yeah. Yeah.
Our friend Mike Torn has one too.
I don't have anything that's like super rare. Like I don't think I have a few vintage amps, but not mostly Fenders, not Marshalls, but nothing like crazy rare. So yeah. And
I think I'm gonna jump into some questions from people.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump into this.
That might be a good idea.
What's that, Dave?
That might be a good idea.
Yeah. We got Corey Johnson, who sent in a question here. Hey guys, love the channel. Thank you so much. How much difference is there between a Marshall Studio Plexi SV20 and a 100-watt super lead if attenuated to the same apparent volume? Thanks and keep up the good work.
Well, I got to tell you, that SV20 is a pretty cool amp. And there's a couple little tweaks that can be done to it that I've done to them that just slightly tweak the stock circuit just a little bit. Because if anything, they tend to be just a little harsh, just like a smidge. So there's a way to roll that off a little bit, and also a couple other components, change them to be a little more. They had a couple odd choices for some values that weren't like kind of standard super lead, and you can make it standard super lead. Although stock, they're really good. It's not, it's a little squishier, the SV20.
Oh yeah,
but in kind of a cool way, actually, almost, kind of more fun. So there you go.
Okay.
It's really good, actually. I gotta tell you.
In terms of tone, I mean, are they similar with the 100-watt and the Studio Plexi?
If they're attenuated to the same rough volume, very, 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 very similar.
So I figured
maybe a little squishier on the SV20.
Okay.
Not scads, just a little touch, but it's a kind of gooier almost. It's almost kind of nice if you can understand what gooey means.
I understand it.
Feel like when you really dig into it hard.
Right. It's got some sag.
Sag, but not like farty sag, like good like compression.
Right. Jay Busk, thank you so much for the super chat. Glad you're back, Mark. Thank you. I am glad I'm back also. Question for Dave. I know a lot of guys use the Furman PQ3 and PCM 41s. GL, who's that? I can't.
George Lynch.
George Lynch, Rat, with Marshalls back in the 80s. I have a PQ3, but not a PCM. Are there any good alternatives?
Well, those guys used to use those. I mean, the PCMs and stuff in those days were just putting them in front of the amp, or they would split, and one amp would get a slightly delayed. They were almost using it as a doubling effect. So one amp would be, I don't know, like 10 milliseconds or something, or 20 milliseconds, just a slight doubling effect. And the PQ3, you know, it acts as a boost, really. You know, can be cool, can be noisy. I have one sitting along with everything else down the hall later.
Avocado Cookie. Thank you. Hey, Derek, any plans for a Rev Synergy module?
I think so. We've talked with Avi a lot about it. I know it just comes down to when we have time for design, and yeah, I think that's pretty much the holdup, is that we've got other stuff that we've been working on, and we just
It's a little
make time for it.
Money.
What's that?
It's a little extra mailbox money.
I love the concept of it. Like I liked the old Randall version of it. Like I think it's a great idea. And as somebody who just loves gear and loves different like preamps and different voicings, I remember the first time I saw it was with do you know that Antonin dude from Salvation Audio over in Prague? He was doing a bunch. Yeah, he was doing a bunch of his own versions of them way back then. It was before Synergy was out, I think, or maybe when Synergy was just coming out. And that was the first time I saw it, and I was like, this is awesome. And the ones that he had sounded great. And then I got to try it at Guitar Summit in Germany one year with Dennis, and I think it's awesome. But yeah, so long story short, yes, sometime, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Ben, I'm not our design guy, so I never, it's when Dan has time and when Boutique has time for it that, we get to it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Hey, thanks, Ben. I really appreciate it. Ben's our moderator. Thank you so much, Ben. Let's see. Have a beer, Mark? I did. I drank the whole thing, actually. Nice. So that's my only beer for the night.
I have to run to the fridge here in a minute.
I know I'm just about going to have to run down too.
Well, maybe the bathroom in the fridge, because I'm old.
By the way, when we took a break last week, Dave went on Jason Tong's show for Head First, and they had a cool show called Tech Talk. So if you guys want to check that out, go to.
I don't know if it's a continuing thing. It's just every once in a while he does a live feed.
Yeah,
that's cool.
It was fun though, because it was interesting, because we got two designers kind of, fielding it at the same time. It was fun.
Yep. Plexico. Thank you so much. Hi all. In terms of marketing artists, how important is social media compared to labels, NAMM, advertising, and non-digital word of mouth?
Well,
I think social media is super.
To be honest, I think now almost social media takes over everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
An artist, I always kind of look at it this way. I'm like, so what are you going to do for me? Like, okay, you're using my amp now. Okay, cool. Are you going to post on your own social media about you using the amp, or are you not? Or is it, people only going to see it on stage? Or are they even going to see it on stage? Maybe not. It's almost a different world now. It's almost like I think your YouTubers maybe are your marketing now more so. And I think it's interesting community. So you do a bunch of YouTube videos for a product you come out with, however many that is, 6, 7 videos, and that starts it. But then people wind up getting the product, and they do their own little videos. Some of them good, some of them bad, but they still do the videos. And if it's a popular product, it just clogs YouTube with all sorts of videos you could watch from. I mean, my God, try to look up how many BEOD videos there are. Holy crap.
And then we have companies that they do the marketing blitz where they'll have 7, 8, 9 different YouTubers coming out with a video all at the same day, you know, and then
I don't know how I feel about that.
I think it would be better if it was staggered, personally, like throughout the week.
I think I'm kind of more into the staggering of it.
But not too long, like maybe over the course of a few days or a week. But when
Okay, I'm gonna go get another beer, and you guys can make fun of me while I do that.
I mean, it worked really well for us with the G3 pedal when we did we staggered videos, but we ended up having the challenge that we had back then was that we had it timed that, you know, there's going to be 3 videos on the first day. And then 2 days later, there's going to be another 2. And then 3 or 4 days later, there's going to be a few more. And what ended up happening was as soon as some of the YouTube guys saw, you know, Fluff and Ola post their videos, they all just launched theirs within a day because back then they were all just concerned about overall like view velocity and clicks.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that is not what we want at all because we're going to burn people out on this real fast. And I think
I can't decide. I can't decide if that's is it good or bad? I don't know.
I will say that we have always sold more of a product whenever we've done a pretty significant campaign, right? Where we do, you know, a lot of videos, like the biggest channels that the product suits. We work with them early on, not all on the same day. Yeah, it's tough because I think also that like we got, you know, you were like this with the BEOD, I think too, that we were into that game before everybody else was. And now everybody, like YouTubers back then were launching, you know, maybe a pedal video every week or every couple of weeks. Now you're guaranteed that there's something new. Every few days, there's some sort of new video coming out from somebody. So I think that it's just, you know, people are getting a little bit of like option paralysis with stuff when it comes out because they know, okay, the new Soldano pedal is out, but also Ola's Chug pedal is out at the same time, like within a day or two of it. And then, you know, Glenn Fricker's pedal from us comes out, you know, a couple weeks later. And yeah, and you just have it snowballing. And, you know, consumers only have so much bandwidth for that and only so much dispensable income. So I'm with you, Dave. I actually don't know. I prefer the staggered thing. I don't know what works better. Yeah.
Some guys I talk to like almost like it. Some YouTubers feel that if all the videos are released at once, they actually get less views.
Yep.
And then whereas let's say 2 videos come out on the first day and a week later another 2 videos come out and a week later another 2 videos come out. If 7 videos are released on one day, you're going to go, oh, I want to see Shawn's video. Click.
Yep.
And you're going to watch his video. Oh, that sounds cool. Okay, great. And that's it.
Yep.
Or maybe one other. Or maybe one other, you know, you go and like
one other.
Yeah.
Now, if say Pete launches his video the first day and then Shawn launches his video a week later, I think more people will click on both. Oh, let me see what Shawn did. A week later, you got a break from it, you know? I don't know.
I think Shawn made a point about this that I think is really true of what a lot of players think. And like what, you know, like what consumers think. And that is that I have a, you know, a set number of guys and that I want to go see what they do with the product as soon as it comes out. So as soon as I hear a product's out, I want to hear Pete's video. I want to hear Shawn's. I want to hear if Rob Baker's done anything. Like there's a, you know, set number of people that I always want to see what they do with something. So I always like if it comes out right away because that also builds a hype. And I feel like the people who are most likely to purchase the product are going to want to see all of the options as fast as they can and hear it through other people's hands. But you also run the risk of people, and I mean, this is a thing that it comes up all the time that we hear about, which is that people think that we've paid YouTubers to do a demo and for whatever positive review that they're going to give you. And the reality is, I don't know a YouTuber that you can buy their opinion, but absolutely you have to pay for the vast majority of videos unless you are fortunate enough to have been friends with people long enough that they're just doing favors for you.
It's not a review.
What's that? No, it's a demo.
It's not a review.
Yeah.
I don't review anything.
The YouTuber is the employee of the company, and his job is to make the product sound as good as it can.
Yep.
If he happens to hate the product, most YouTubers will go, yeah, I'm just not feeling this, and I'm going to return this, and I can't really do this. This isn't going to work for me.
So Shawn,
I know he's done it. You know, I know there's people that, you know, where it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that. I mean, you will not see a demo on my channel of something that I don't enjoy playing. I always, once I have the product, I'll play through it, and if it's not right, then I will very politely say this isn't a fit, and send it back. And that's the thing. Me, you know, when people say great review, it's like I don't review things because I don't. I'm not one of those guys that's going to open up the box and talk about all the components in it, or, you know, for me, it's like, no, I'm just going to demo it. Here's how it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to fluff it to make it sound better, because if I have to do that, I'm going to send it back. So for me, I just play through the pedal. Here's how it sounds. Here's my perception on how I think you should dial it. You know, it's like, yeah, sometimes it sounds better over here, but yeah, I don't really.
Yeah, like, here's the sweet spot I like right here.
Yeah, because I'll say as a guitar player, it's like, well, here's where I landed with the treble, but here's the whole sweep. You know, but the one thing I don't do is if I feel like I gotta do something with the product, like there's nothing in my demos, there's no EQ, there's no compression, except on the drums and on the bass, because I'm a horrible bass player. But nothing on the guitar tracks. I'll add, you know, delay pretty much only. And that's because it's like, well, this is what, you know, all those sounds that people love have these things on them when it's in this context.
Yeah.
So I'll do that in the performance track, but then I back it way off in the demo and just let people hear, like, this is how it sounds. But yeah, I don't review things. I'm not a review guy.
and what's your opinion on staggered versus all on one day?
As a guy that does YouTube videos, I think staggered's better for me. As a musician, I love quarterback blitz, because it's like, okay, cool. It's all right there. Pete, you know, whoever it ends up being, all the cats that I dig, I can like bang through all those videos, and it's like, oh, okay, I got the whole perspective. So that's never bothered me. I know it does upset some people when they just see like a blitz of one product, but it's never bothered me. I was just like, okay, cool. I'm going to go through all of these if it's something I'm interested in, and if it's not, then I don't. But yeah, as a YouTuber, I like to stagger for sure.
Yeah, we've been trying to stagger them.
Yeah, because otherwise you're a YouTuber trying to cut through what I call the noise. Yeah. So if there's 10 of us demoing the same product, it is difficult to cut through all of that noise as a YouTuber. But, you know, for me, I don't, you know, I'm not one of those guys that's going to say, well, I'm only going to do my video at this time because I want this and this and this. I leave that up to whoever I'm demoing for. If they want me to be part of that opening day, cool. If they don't, I'll say, well, I'll release it before, after, whatever you would like, you know. So I kind of leave it up to, you know, whoever's designed the product that's, you know, sent it to me for demo. If any of that makes sense. Does none of that make sense? Derek's got a look on his face like, no.
What are we drinking here, guys?
I'm drinking beer that I picked up in Nashville. I don't know if you can see it. I'm a sissy. I drink like a Radlers and beer that's got juice in it. So I have like a peach blonde ale from Nashville.
Blonde ale. Wow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
would
also
make me
have
sick.
I have PBR for later if that makes you feel better. It's like,
No, it doesn't make me feel
No.
better. It gives me a headache thinking about it.
Yeah. PBR chaser.
yeah.
Oh, you've done better though, haven't you, Shawn?
Yeah. Okay, so New Heights, that's a local brewery, killer stuff. This is an Imperial Stout. I'm a big like Imperial Stout fan. Where I started actually was Snake Bite. So there's this joint I go to called Taps Off Main, and they're just crazy beer hall, tons of taps. But they got me hip to doing Snake Bites, where you will take like an Imperial or a porter, or it could even just be a straight stout, but then you mix it with some sort of cider. So it's kind of like a black and tan or something along those lines, but you're mixing it with cider. So this is Diskin Resolution. It's a really great cider. So I did kind of half and half. Now I'm just doing the New Heights, and it's just, this stuff is killing. It's really good.
So we're going for a classic Bitburger, German.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Nice.
German Bitburger. It's kind of a lighter, crisper thing. And then we're going for the Belgian, or not Belgian style, Allagash Curio.
Oh, nice.
Oh, look at you.
Normally comes in a big bottle, but today I saw that they had little bottles.
Nice, man.
Which is good because it's, they're expensive.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like
the big bottle is like a $20 bottle, you know.
Yeah.
But it is also 9% liquor.
Yeah.
That's
Yingling long necks.
Nothing wrong with Yingling, man.
Mr. Tom Bukovac.
Yeah, when he can't get Rolling Rock,
Yeah.
then it's Yingling.
Yeah. Oh, is it Yingling if he can't get Rolling Rock?
Yeah. He's a Rolling Rock guy. It's so funny, man. When I lived in Arizona, off and on throughout my life, especially towards the end there, everybody drank Rolling Rock. That was what you drank in Arizona. So when I saw Tom drinking Rolling Rock, I was like, what? And then he was loving that. And apparently with distribution or whatever out here in Tennessee, it was just harder to get. So he jumped ship to Yingling, which is similar, but it's really not like Rolling Rock. You know, it's a refreshing, light kind of, it's a good beer. You know, I was over it, you know, because I drank so much of it.
He's going about saying that it's a lousy beer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's being so polite right now.
He's being very polite.
Yeah.
But Yingling is a little bit sweeter. It's got a little bit more of a sweet.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's a lager. I mean, it's a little bit different.
The last time I drank that, I was in where was it? In Indiana.
Fort Wayne, Indiana.
No, not Fort Wayne. I wasn't in Sweetwater. I was seeing Alice in Chains and doing a Sweetwater video with Jerry Cantrell in oh hell, I don't remember where it was now, but in Indiana. And I know Sammy Bowler was with us, and we were wandering around the town from bar to bar, and boy, we went into a couple bars that we wanted to leave quick. But Yingling was, we went to this one bar. It was just like a rundown, horrible place. Everything was served in plastic cups, and the bartender was so drunk he could barely pour the liquor. Oh my God. And he was like, "Yeah, take the Yingling, I guess."
Yingling,
like, hey, you want to go to the next bar down the street? Because let's get out of here.
Touchdown Jesus.
I love that.
That's an interesting name. Yeah. Thank you so much for the super chat. Shawn, I was surprised that you use such a beast of an amp like the Rev 120. Can you speak to what it is that you like about it, and do you find it to be a little bit more polished in feel and gain compared to vintage amps?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I was always known for playing. You can't really see him back there, and I still play him. I was always known for playing like FTR 37, Freddie Tacone's amp, amazing pedal platform amp. Or I've got like an LDW back there, Lyle's amp, the 39, which is like an EL34 kind of high watt meets smart, but single channel amp. I remember when my friends found out that I bought a BE 100 Deluxe. Honestly, I thought there was going to be some sort of intervention. Because people were just like, what?
But it can lower gain.
Right. You can lower the gain, right?
You can
you turn the gain down. Exactly.
the gain structure switch. You know, you can
Exactly. So
quite clean actually.
yeah, so that's the point. Like I will say that, and Derek can attest to this. That was the first thing that I kind of chatted with Derek about was, the amp is definitely great at metal. It's perceived as a metal brand, but I can play the way I want to play through this amp, and it's not a struggle. The 120 is absolutely a beast, just like the BE 100 Deluxe is a beast of an amp. The 120, I will say, is definitely more modern. It's more refined, but it's incredibly dialable. So I will tell you what I use the 120 for is when I need channel gain, especially if I'm going after like maybe like a Dan Huff style solo. I'll go right to either if I wanted to feel a little bit more saggy, I'll use channel 4. If I wanted to feel tighter, I'll use channel 3. Channel 2 on the Generator 120 is definitely more kind of this JTM 45 kind of, and that's definitely a more vintage feeling channel. It is definitely, there's a refinement there over like a vintage amp. And I would say the Rev's a little more modern, but if I go down to the BE 100 Deluxe, that's somewhere in between going a little bit more modern or going completely vintage to me. The BE 100 Deluxe, it's the same thing. It's like, man, that just struck a nerve. It was like, okay, I know what I'll use this for. The Plexi channel is insane. It's like, that's the channel I fell in love with. But then if I want a more kind of vintagey modded Marshall thing for a solo tone, then the Friedman's going to do it. The Rev is not voiced that way. So I guess I'm rambling, but does that make sense, Dave? Like,
best of both worlds is, like if you say if you own a studio and you have I have a blackface Fender amp, I have a Vox amp, I have a Marshall style amp, and I have a rectifier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
you have the kind of modern vintage, AC30. Well, that's AC30. That's a whole category of its own.
Yes, it is.
And, a blackface Fender kind of thing. So.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing. It's an amp like the BE 100 or the Rev. That's what I refer to as channel gain. I want that sound, that feel. I want to play through a bunch of glass with that gain, as opposed to sometimes, which I also love, running essentially a transistor circuit into a really great pedal platform amp. Anything from my Generator 740 will do that. My Divided by 13 is excellent for that. My Sur is incredible for that. The DS40 loves that, even though the DS40 can do gain. My D20 loves that. So, I just want all the worlds. But when it's channel gain, if I want more modern channel gain, the 120, very dialable. But if I want more modded Marshall channel gain, then I lean on the 100 Deluxe.
Makes total sense.
Cool. We got Joe B. Thank you so much for the super chat. Very generous of you. Really appreciate it. Dave, thanks for all your help with my Jakey Lee 100, purple SS1, and pink Steve V2. Oh, you're a big fan, obviously. Also, thanks to
you should
Black.
see these, man. You showed me pictures, and they're all lined up, and there's all these colors, and it's amazing.
Oh, that's beautiful. Wow. Thanks to Blad and everyone else involved in the Steve Stevens 2 build. What are your feelings about the Waza TAE only being safe if used with both resonance controls on low to avoid any ohm mismatch?
I mean, it's as long as you're not using them way cranked up, you're okay. Kind of, even if you're using them kind of in the middle, you're okay. You might even be okay if you're using them way cranked up, to be honest, but I can't guarantee that, so I don't want you to play a vintage amp through it. If you really want something that will do great, if you're looking for attenuation, just get a Fryette PS100. It's awesome. It's great. If you want attenuation, it's killer. And then you can always use that as a load too, and go direct with some IRs in your computer and stuff too. So
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the Fryat's amazing, and honestly, I still have I've got the Tone King, the Iron Man 2.
that's good too.
Thing is fabulous. It's sitting right there. Yeah, I love that thing.
You know, the neat thing about the Fryat is it's the load and the power amp, so you got an effects loop in between, and then you can switch levels.
Yeah,
I mean, it takes like that new Marshall you got there, and and all of a sudden makes it, wow, I can use this with my pedal board and put a delay in the loop, and wow, that sounds cool. And
yeah, to have something like post power,
it sounds great.
Is amazing. Yeah, so that's where the Fryat's that's pretty unbeatable.
Yeah, it's a great tool.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce is here in the chat. Thanks, Bruce.
Hey, Bruce.
Bruce
Hope you're doing well, Bruce Egnator.
Hello, legend.
Amps are tools. Knowing how to use them is the key. That is true.
Very true. It's funny. I just saw. Speaking of uncomfortable playing situations, so I just saw a video that just came out that was some jam or something. I don't know what was done. Some guitar show or something where it was Joe Satriani.
I just saw that.
Mateus Asado, Steve Lukather, and Eric Gales.
Yikes!
Wow.
And they did a, did a Miles Davis song, blues kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it was just, one guitar solo after the next guitar solo after the next, and seeing each of those guys with rental amps, I think, for everyone, except maybe Joe had his actual amps with his actual stuff because it sounded a little bit better. But like Luke Stone was atrocious. You're like, it's like, holy crap, that's bad. He got to not be having a good time there.
Yeah.
And pretty much everyone else's tone was kind of atrocious. But going in, I'm like, well, I bet I know how this is going to come out.
Eric Gales.
Eric Gales just wipes. Okay, Luke and then Eric Gales.
Luke is amazing.
Eric Gales top, Luke second. I mean, Eric
is crazy, right?
And you know what? He just starts off so simple and so slow, right? And really clean at first, and just some little stuff. And you're like, oh, he's not playing that good yet. Yeah, wait a minute.
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden he builds and builds, and then he puts on some pedal and it's a little more distorted and builds and builds and builds, and then he puts on like a different pedal or something and it's like a different tone, and you're just like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Eric.
Oh my god! Even Luke's looking at him, going,
Yeah, Eric Gales that guy can just flat play.
But he knew how to build it.
Mm-hmm.
And funny, like we're watching it, and Jamie Kime, who works for me, is sitting behind me, and he was just watching it too, and he goes, well, yeah, Luke and Eric are playing all the chords. They're playing all the parts. They're playing, their solos are in they're making all the changes, like properly.
Yeah,
and
playing through the changes. Yeah.
Playing through the changes. And it keeps him like, fuck Eric. Jesus.
Yeah. Satriani was okay. Mateus sounded kind of out of his element.
He might have been. I mean, Mateus, that guy is absolutely brilliant.
Oh, he is. He's amazing player.
But I know I'd have been scared to death. Like,
put on the spot like that. I don't know.
Oh yeah, man.
That's like well, let's say he's young,
Mm-hmm.
Like these guys are really more seasoned.
Yeah.
Especially guys like Luke, and my God, the gigs and the number of things they played and the number of sessions that were done, and Eric's, he's just from a different planet.
Yeah, that's the thing. Eric is, I mean, he's not a young cat, but he plays with soul that is well beyond his years.
Yeah, sure. It's crazy.
He's an alien. Yeah.
And then watching all the riffs in reverse is really freaky.
I know, right?
It's just like,
man, what are you playing that thing upside down for?
The funny thing is, you see, he'll be playing and he's building the solo, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, there'll be this lick that you've never seen in any other time you've watched him,
Mm-hmm.
but it just comes from like somewhere else.
Yeah,
You know,
that's Eric's one of those players. There's very few
what the
players.
fuck was that?
Yeah, there's very few players I'll say this about, but there's players where it's like, okay, I got this guy figured out. And then you find out and you get your little heart broken because you have no idea what this guy's capable of. And Eric Gales, to me, seems to be one of those cats. And then honestly, Mateus, he might have been out of his element, but same thing. I'll think I've got Mateus figured out. And then it'll be like, what just happened? You know?
Yeah.
So, but that being said, I mean, Eric is, yeah, he's just hauntingly good. He's so good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's like you're going on stage with Eric Gales. Oh no, I'm not.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not even going to coil a cable for that guy.
Mr. Anderson, how are you? Thanks for the super chat. Hey guys, Mark, you're a big EVH fan. Yes, I am. I recently bought a Frankie, and I must say I'm surprised by how good it sounds. 7 pounds, flame maple board, stays in tune, nice overall. Have guitars that cost 10 times more and can hold its own. Yeah, man. The Frankie that they make is really nice, and the paint work on it is really good too. I think they put a lot of guys who were making fakes out of business by making a really good one. So I like the guitar. If they made a lefty, I'd probably own it, but they don't.
Oh yeah, you're a lefty. I keep forgetting that. That's why your guitars look weird back there. I was trying to figure out what's going on.
You just need to relearn how to play upside down like Eric Gales.
Next slide.
So you can just take a right guitar and flip it over and just play it, right? That's all you got to do, Mark.
Anybody could do it.
No big deal. Anyone could do that.
It'll happen real quick. I can now. Once I know it one way, I can learn it the other way.
Well, yeah, it's just like golfing, right?
Into your-
Golf the other way.
Yeah.
Hey, now you got to talk into your mind.
Oh, okay. See,
He hasn't even had much to drink yet.
no, I haven't. I had one beer. I have to pee because of all this water I'm drinking. Bruce Hawkins. I don't see your question, bro. I don't know where it is. If I find it, I will post. Oh, here it is. Shawn, is that the PRS SE DGT behind you on the wall? Just ordered one. Very excited about it. Dave, anything new regarding the vintage Plexi specs ETA?
Okay,
Go
you're
ahead,
right.
Dave.
No fair. He gets it.
Go ahead, Dave. I mean, he's already got one of these, but yeah, it is.
That's cool.
It's great. Honestly, they Bev sent me one out to try because I have that one there. And it's great. I immediately reached out to Mr. Grissom to let him know it's remarkably good. Yeah, it really is. I mean, I guess I'll want it back at some point, but she sent it to me to check out. And I honestly, even at the price point, I can't really find like an issue with it. It's a great guitar. Pickups sound great. Everything. Yeah.
Awesome.
Really good. Yeah. It's a good guitar.
So in regards to the vintage Plexi and the vintage Vox, well, I have chassis. I have transformers sitting here. I have the boards that the stuff's going to get stuffed on, and I'm going to start stuffing shortly and making sure that all works how I want it to work. And once I sign off on it cosmetically and everything else, we'll put it in production. So how long that'll be, that's a good question. I imagine I'll have prototypes within a month, and then we'll see from there. We have to decide when we want to release them, too. But I know everyone's bugging the shit out of me about this.
I bet. Yeah, I bet.
AC30 top boost style amp coming.
Really?
To match up to my copper top AC30 I own.
Yeah. Combo or head?
Which you can't really see. It's down behind me on the right, below the red thing. I think it'll be available in both.
Nice.
And there might be a 212 cabinet too, so you could pair it with a head, like open back style, box style cabinet, you know.
Oh, that'd be
Nice.
cool.
Blues, maybe.
Yeah.
But I don't feel that anyone has made a really good example of a Vox. That
Like yeah,
really
like a real
like-
like box, right?
like a really good. I'm not talking about the tremolo channel or anything, but you know, a really great old one that
Yeah.
top boost that just sounds juicy and compressed and cool and yet can be aggressive too.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't really exist.
Not,
I mean, Matchless did sort of early on.
but see, that's the thing. When I think of Matchless,
Different.
as amazing as those were, they're different. That was like the bistro version, for
Mhm.
lack of a better term, of that magical top boost circuit.
Yeah. The whole magic of that is to be able to capture the compression that happens when you crank one up and you get it to that kind of Tom Petty level of distortion, like 6 on the thing, set the EQ just right, kind of in between position on a Strat, and you just go clean.
Mm-hmm. But it
And
doesn't catch fire in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, it doesn't catch fire. Yeah.
No, but you hit the nail on the head, Dave. It's like that is magical. It really is.
And then the other thing will be a 50-watt style Marshall a la my 68 Plexi that I own, with a built-in Variac kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
That'll be cool.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Peter wants to know if you have any more plugins in the works.
I want to. I have to have some discussions with our current company about that. Because if they don't want to, I want to do it with someone else.
Robert Baker. How's it going, Robert?
Robert, what's going on?
He says on the YouTube side, I don't like the big launch all in one day. As a viewer, he likes it because then he can watch a couple from the guys that he likes side by side at the beginning. That's what Shawn said. Yep.
So maybe it's half and half. Maybe a couple guys first, and another couple guys a week later, and another couple guys a week later.
Derek, what's the difference between a Rev 120 and the Rev G20 other than the wattage?
I'll be back.
Lots. Mostly, though, I would say 2 different channels that don't exist in the G20, the red channel and essentially the green channel. Power section, obviously not just the wattage, but the G20 is a 6v6 powered amp, where the 120 is typically 6L6 or KT88. So there's or 34s if you want. So there's a lot of things in there. The new 120s have the built-in noise gates and reverb, and the G20's really great if you're primarily playing like at home or an apartment. That's really where it was designed for, or for like smaller club gigs and that. If you're playing bigger stages or want to run a 212 or a 412, that's more what the 120 is designed for. There's other things on the like the contour switch and stuff like that, or I think it's called the cut switch on the newer ones that is in the 120 that's not in the G20, but it is voiced after the drive channel on the G20 is voiced after the purple channel from the 120. So if you're looking for that, which is probably the sound that Rev is most known for, if you're looking for that, the G20 is a great option for that. And it's nice and lightweight, like it weighs 9 pounds. So, moving it around is not difficult, where the 120 is like 50 pounds. So 48 pounds, somewhere around there. Yeah.
Well, this is a good timing of this story from Rummy. Thanks for the super chat. Derek, gig story. My Princeton was down, so I took the D20 to my jazz gig. The horn guy says the tone was rich. If I can't be rich, glad my tone can be.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean the D20 is one of my favorite amps that we build, because it is like I love pedals, so it's a perfect pedal platform amp for me. So it has a little bit of gain if you want, like you can pull the boost on it and take it to kind of edge a breakup. But yeah, it's great that's what we use primarily when we do Gear and Beer, because we go direct with the 2 notes torpedo stuff that's built into it, and makes it nice and easy.
Cool.
Yep.
Jay Busk, thanks for the question again. Opinions on the new Jet City Custom BE clone amps? Did you see this, Dave?
BE clone amps.
I got nothing.
I don't think he's cloning a BE.
I don't know, but you're going to look into it now. I know that.
Oh, if he is, I'm going to buy one, my friend.
I know Doug
What's
really
that?
well. I know Doug who owns Jet City really well, so I don't think so.
Mhm. Okay. Let's see. Scrolling. We've got lots of people.
Even if it was, I'm not worried.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was Kenny Arnoff on drums on that video. Let's see. It's Luke stopped dyeing his hair.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a little grandma, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's looking.
I think he looks good.
like it.
No,
Yeah,
I personally like the way he looks too. You know.
Well, it's better than the dyed facial hair and the stuff going on. It's just like, it's like at some age, at some point, obviously, at some point, it's like, you got to be natural about it. Look at Jimmy Page. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then the other thing, I love Luke. Luke is one of the nicest guys I've ever.
He's cool.
He's so cool. Just the way he came on our show twice, and just he answers my emails if I email him. When he was coming here with Ringo Starr's band, I wanted to see if he could meet. He responded to me like.
Did you?
No, we did. They were protecting Ringo from COVID, and unfortunately, Ringo still ended up getting COVID.
Yeah.
They had to cancel the tour.
Everyone winds up,
Yeah, unfortunately, but I
saw them eventually. Shawn, did you get it?
No. If
you never got
it? No.
Wow, good for you.
Yeah.
Dude.
But I don't get the flu either.
Yeah, but you're due.
I probably
maybe after this
flu and called it a cold.
I was gonna say, tomorrow Shawn's just gonna be wrecked. Like,
tomorrow he's gonna send me a text and he's gonna go, the ICU.
I hope not.
I had it twice.
It was brutal, and you don't want it. Trust me.
I had it twice, and the second time was kind of brutal, and I still think I have lingering symptoms from it.
I've heard it's a booger. I mean, I've got friends that have more kind of what would be considered like long COVID. It's a booger, but yeah, I count myself really lucky. I mean, like I said, the shoe's probably going to drop tomorrow, and I'll be calling you guys from the ICU.
Just
it's okay. I mean, like you'll make it. I mean, it's just like people. I mean, most people make it through it. So
yeah, you'll be fine.
Especially these days with all the treatments and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Touchdown Jesus again wants to know, Shawn, what tubes are you running in your Rev 120? Have you tried others?
I have. What's in it right now? In this one is EL34s. You can bias it for whatever you want. I've tried 6L6s in it. 6Ls are a little bolder, obviously in the low end. I've done combinations that sound cool, big bottles and small. I mean, I would say overall, I tend to, with that amp, like EL34s. But it's really kind of to each his own. It's kind of funny with tubes, and I think, Dave, you can attest to this. It's like the transformer is kind of reacting to the tube's reacting to the transformer. If you were to actually A/B really quickly with the same exact transformer, EL34s, 6L6s, KT88s, you name it, the difference is you'll find a bit more negligible or, than you think. I tend to, so I tend to like EL34s. I like them because there's a perceived bark there, but I will say at the end of the day, it's a lot more subtle.
Well, when you take two identical amps,
yes, that's what I mean.
And bias, just bias them up both, and then listen on an amp switcher where you're really clicking back and forth, seamlessly playing, and then you're dialing both of the amps in to sound like each other. Now that's the key. You're twisting the knob slightly to dial it in to sound. You might be hard pressed to tell the difference.
Now that is true. One thing I will say, and it was an amp that Dan and I were dialing in. We were kind of trying to decide, Dan Trudeau and myself, between EL34s and 6L6s without touching the amp, just doing a really quick bias, play, and then bang the new tubes in from EL34 to 6L6. And we made brutally sure not to touch anything at the front end of the amplifier. Then I was like, you know what? I think I like 6Ls. But that's when I was starting to hear like the bolder low end. But like you're saying, Dave, if you put the two amps side by side, bias them up, what's going to happen is if you're going for the, it's like, well, this one has, you're going to dial it to fix whatever it was you heard in difference between the two. So then you get into the feel thing. My perception is always 6L6s tend to be a little bit more immediate to me. But then again, it's subtle. So I tend to lean towards, I love 6V6s because of the way once you start really pushing a 6V6, even if it's an American voiced amp, as you start kind of pushing those, it all of a sudden starts sounding a little more British. Do you perceive that, Dave? Like 6Vs have like a thing about them as you push them harder that I don't notice as much with like a 6L, or even an EL84. An EL84 to me is just very EL84, but there's something about like a 6V6 power tube when you really push that tube, it just becomes something else, at least in my perception. That's how I fell in love with them,
6V, I'm not always the biggest fan of 6V6s because I always find that there's this weird top end thing that happens that I don't really like with them when you push them.
They get a little fizzy, right?
A little fizzy on the top, and it gets a little weird for me. Also, it's probably a really bad idea to design any amp with a 6V6 right now.
Well,
because
Derek's like,
you're correct.
Just isn't any.
Yeah.
And
the ones that are around are very expensive now.
The JJ one is a good sounding tube, but you can't use it in a combo. So if you're making a 6V6 combo, forget it. It's out the window. Very rugged, works really well. It's cool. And then the only other option is Russian. And that's a whole, that's triple price now.
Yeah.
If you can get them.
Yeah.
So, and there just isn't like there. At least with the EL34s, you have a new Chinese variant that is good. You have JJ still, and then you have like 4 or 5 different Russian ones, which are still going to be too expensive to buy right now, but you have them. At least there's lots of options there.
Mm-hmm.
And probably Shugong will be back in the next couple months. So you'll have another option. So.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, and then 6L6s, you have several options with 6L6s still, similar, but 6V6s, man, No.
Do you make any amps, Derek, with 6V6?
Oh, our top selling amps are all 6V6 right now.
Oh, really?
They're just the D20 and the G20 are 6V6. And my favorite amp that we build is called the Generator 740. And we bought every new old stock tube that we could buy during the pandemic, and we were buying 6V6s that are from 1974 from China.
Great.
That when they work are awesome, but the failure rate on them, because it's literally the last of the shit that they had available from like that tube amp doctor could like pull out of wherever in China. Our failure rate on them is atrocious right now. But
we tried Chinese ones, and those are also failure rate is atrocious.
Oh yeah, the new ones like the PS Vane or Red Bass or whatever they want to call them. Yeah. So we got Red Bass 6V6s, and they seem fine so far, but we'll see. We've only gotten like 1,500 of them so far. It's not like we're not far into it yet. So
They can be they can be a booger, but they do when they're working. They sure sound good.
But they're really expensive now, though. Like when we started out doing this, they were less than half the price of what they are now. We pay either the same amount or like within 50 cents difference of a 6L6 for a 6V6, and yeah, like it used to be that they were half the price.
If you're getting Russian ones, forget it. I mean, you know, you're getting their inflated rate, and then you get the tariff on top of it. At least for us.
Yeah, it's the same here. It's like 35% tariff.
Yeah, and
it's the same with
preamp tubes, like $18 or something cost.
Yeah, yeah, like same with Russian birch, right? Like trying to find Baltic birch that isn't considered from Russia, or that you can prove that it's not from Russia, trying to get it into Canada. I mean, I think we did the same thing that Avi did, that we bought up everything that we could find.
Yeah.
Right
we
when
for like 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, we bought whatever we could find, and that's
at a premium. Some of that was bought at too. So
huge. Well, I mean, we used to pay
better than it was. I mean, better than now, but
wow. I remember when I started, we paid $35 Canadian for an 18 mil sheet of like 5x5 sheet of Baltic birch, and now that same sheet's like about $140.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So,
like,
if anyone wonders why prices of amps have gone up, well, guess what? Right there, baby.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Everything's gone up. That's just crazy. Joe Robin, Jet City doesn't clone a BE, but more of a Jose mod, but references Friedman in the description on the site.
Yeah, I just read that.
Yeah, you saw the link I just sent you?
Reference Friedman per se, it's F-man. But
I
don't care.
Yeah.
I actually used to mod him for him a long time ago.
Nice.
It's probably not exactly that. So
right.
I don't know what he's doing. I'll make him send me one. Hey, since you're using F-men on your site, can you send me one?
Can you send me an effing one then?
Oh God. Let's see. John DeShane. Glad you're on the men, Mark. Oh, thanks for the super chat and the thought. I really appreciate it. Dave, what brand EL34s are shipping with the new BE100 Deluxes, and how different are they different from the EHs?
Well, believe it or not, I mean, we still have some EHs that we've had forever because we had huge quantities of them. But we also have stuff from PS Vane that we have branded our own boutique brand, which are like the red base TAD EL34. They're the same too, and they're great. Actually, they sound great.
Yeah, we've had
really close to an old German EL34, which is awesome.
Nice.
Pete did a little test on his channel with that. We went back and forth.
We've been using the red base 6L6s for a while now too, just because JJ was forever, and we've had no issues with those.
The taller bottle ones, right?
Yeah.
Which is what they call, PS Van calls the 5881, which is the red base 6L6, and what we call the BT 6L6. They're all the same too.
Yeah.
Those are really good.
I remember Avi called me during the Great Tube crisis of 2022, and he's like, I got a place you can buy tubes, and I'm like, PS Vane? He's like, you know about this already? I'm like, yep. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it's good stuff, man. Like, I'm interested that you said that like Shuguang is supposed to be back up in a few months, because I've been hearing that for the last I think 5 years that it's coming, but it's
so the president of that company was involved in our dealings with PS Vane directly.
Okay, nice.
So we were buying stuff directly, which most people weren't.
Yeah.
So he was part of our dealings, so we at least have some information from him. At least that's what he said.
Yeah.
So, and that was supposed to be coming around this month, I thought. I don't know, changing.
That's good news.
We'll see if they can, I'm sure there's going to be a little bump in the road there with them. I'm sure like the first things they produce might not be perfect.
Right.
They might have some difficulty getting back into production, but
I remember like
every problem straightened out eventually.
Yeah. We started buying direct from them right when we started. And I mean, we were obviously buying very low quantity, but they let us for some reason. And I still remember that the preamp tubes that we get from them, like their 12AX7 was in my opinion, our amps never sounded better than those tubes that we used to get. The failure rate was very high. And somebody asked about failure rate. Yeah. Failure rate's 20% or north. Like for when I consider something atrocious, that's, yeah. Once it hits 20%, I'm like, this is
the old Chinese preamp tubes were fantastic. They're going to be microphonic in first slots, but I've used those for years. They were probably the least failure rate, best quality tube you could buy.
Yeah.
And when those went away, it was sad. We used to use just a JJ in the first slot and the Chinese in the rest. That was the old recipe. Which worked great because the J in big production, you can't be sitting there looking for the quiet tube.
No.
Looking for the fishing through the box of 100 to find the 5 quiet tubes in the whole box.
Yeah.
That doesn't work in big production. You got to basically put the tubes in and they're all good. Great. They're all good. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Derek, did you guys consider changing the layout of the amps to accommodate like an EL84 or something like that instead of get rid of the 6V6s?
Yeah, the new stuff that we're coming out with, like some stuff at NAMM this year and afterwards, we've just moved to like a pair of 6L6s for some designs instead of a quad of 6V6s. We've talked about EL84s, but honestly, anytime I've ever brought it up with Dan, he's just kind of dismissed it pretty quickly as he loves 6L6s and KT88s. So that's what he's normally going to design around. And Shawn and I will push about the 6V6s, especially for like my favorite amp that we build is the Generator 740, and it's a quad of 6V6s. And yeah, we bug him about that, and it's it never goes over well. Like it's always like yeah. Like I'll design something and you guys play it and tell me if it matters that much. And so far he has not been wrong. Anytime he's ever said, yeah, you have an idea about what parts or what components I should use, I'll build something, you sit and play it, and you tell me if Yeah. And he's never been wrong when he's done that.
It's been inarguable because there's, in my mind, there's things I'm like, well, it should be 6Vs or it should be this component or that component. And Dan will just say, well, let me do my thing. And then if you don't like it, you let me know. And I've been like, oh, okay, do your thing, Dan. Yes. Okay, cool.
Yep. Jay Carrega, thanks for the super chat. Ringo got COVID twice in 3 weeks. They only canceled 4 shows. Oh, I thought at the end of the tour, though, or close to the end of the tour, he got COVID and they just canceled the tour. But maybe I was wrong. I saw them; they were great. My wife and I loved seeing the all-star band. It was cool.
I mean, come on, man, Ringo Starr. It's like people, I know there's like he's not the greatest drummer. He is the greatest drummer. Think about the parts he wrote in those Beatles tunes. He could have just played the same old 2 and 4 that any other drummer would have done, but he didn't. Yeah, Ringo's the man. Listen from that perspective.
Think about Come Together.
Oh,
just the drumming on that alone. So inventive.
You could have just went dun, 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 dun. It's like
right. Even in the beginning.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man. The dude wrote parts. He didn't just play drums. I mean, Ringo. Sorry, I got off on a tangent.
No, I mean,
I was talking to my brother today about Ringo. So
you know who was playing the drums with the all-star band was. What's that?
Tomorrow is what? Oh, is he? Oh, he's working on. What's he working on?
He's coming here to do some stuff.
Ooh, secret stuff.
Side wiring.
Nice.
Who's this?
Shawn's brother.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Okay, cool.
Lonnie.
Anyways, so that's how I got on the Ringo thing. Is I was just talking to Lonnie about how great Ringo is because Lonnie's a great drummer. Used to play drums. We were talking about how amazing Ringo is, but Lonnie's been wiring amps. So yeah.
I see. Well, Greg Bissonette was playing with the All-Star band, and Ringo would get on the drums and play with them, and it was great. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I really enjoyed it. Let's see, Jason Sears. Derek, what was the inspiration for the cleanest channel on the generator? Derek and Dave, does the Philex clean up, and are the cleans plexi-like?
So I can't really say what the inspiration was on the generator's clean channel because Dan's the one who designed it. But I think it honestly just that he wanted a clean channel and a high gain amp that wasn't stiff and that was pedal friendly. Because a lot of amps that, like I said, stuff that we had available to us up here growing up, things, you know, not that I'm trying to shit on them, but things like boogies and PVs aren't really well known for their clean channels. So yeah, I think just like something that you'd be able to use that, you know, was decently warm and kind of rounded. Yeah, I'd say that's probably about it. But again, he's the guy to speak to about that, not me.
Okay.
So, and I have no idea how well the Philex cleans up. I don't play it that way. So yeah, Dave can say that.
I mean, you know, it's like, I mean, if you're going to use the Philex, are you going to use the gain on 10? What are you going to do? I mean, how are you going to set it up? What kind of pickups do you use in your guitar? I mean, will it clean up? Well, if you roll down, you know, if you have a JB humbucker in your guitar and you roll it down, no, it's going to sound not really that cool or that really clean or that great. If you have a PAF style humbucker or something in your guitar and you roll it down, it's going to get a little sparkly and kind of cool and kind of nice. You know, if you have some single coils in your guitar and then maybe switch to a bridge middle position or neck middle position and do that and roll your guitar volume up, that's a whole nother tone. Yep. So I grew up on, you know, this is where we're going to go. Now, I grew up on Marshalls. I mean, from almost day, I mean, I had some other crappy amps along the way early on, but you know, once I got in there, it was Marshalls, and it was a single channel thing. Back then, there wasn't channel switching really. You know, it was single channel amps. Maybe you had a pedal to push it harder. Maybe you didn't. You used your volume knob a lot. You used your pickup selection a lot, and that's how I learned to play guitar and how you can coax tones out of one channel with your pickups and your guitar. And I always was like kind of a super strat kind of guy, which was 2 singles and a humbucker to me, because I thought it was the most versatile selection of stuff you could do. And there's so many sounds you can get just with your volume knob and the 3 pickups in your guitar or the in-between positions. I mean, God, it's crazy, you know?
Yep.
Can I get a clean sound? Yeah, sure. Plexi-like, short of, yes. And what plexi are you referring to?
I was going to say, it's like, okay.
You know, it's like when someone says, my amp doesn't sound like a Marshall. What Marshall are you referring to? I always get into this with people about that. So now, for my idea of what a great Marshall is an old plexi lead channel Marshall cranked up. It's a very cutting, bright tone, but it also has this compression. When you crank it, it has wicked compression and gain. And when people say things are too compressed, I'm like, man, Eddie Van Halen's super lead Marshall was compressed as fuck with a Variac and stuff. It sagged. You could feel the compression, and that's what gave it that juicy kind of feel and sustain to it. You also can roll it off with your volume knob and make it like crystal clean. Yep. You know, especially on a plexi amp like that. It gets really bright, really sparkly.
Yep.
So on an amp like that, you can do so much with just a volume knob and stuff. So
very true.
I always want to sometimes lock people in a room. Okay, this is what you got. Figure out all the tones you can get, and no, you can't have more gain.
Yeah, lock them in a room with a super lead and an LP Junior.
Yeah,
an old one. That's all you get. You get tone, volume, 1 pickup in the bridge. You can tie a knot in the cable if you want, but you got to drag all of it out of this amp and this guitar. And if they spend the time, you'll find there's, oh yeah, if I don't use the pick and I do this, if I roll the tone off, if I roll the volume off, if I roll them both back,
Closer to the neck, closer to the bridge.
Yep.
Yep.
How many
Hold the
times you see Stevie Ray Vaughan doing that? Stevie was like all the way up here,
Oh yeah.
playing right next to the chord he was playing. Well, there's a reason for that. He wasn't doing it to be cute. I mean, it did look cool, but
a warmer.
yeah, it sounded killer. So
Rounder and warmer.
yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot to that. You know, there is a lot to that.
Yep. Stay curious. Is curious what guitar is? Oh, right there, the blue one. That's a G&L Legacy that
Those
I
are
have.
Yeah.
That was custom made, matching headstock, and it's a nice piece of light ash and swamp ash, I believe, and it's got Lindy Fralins in it.
Ooh, nice. Yeah.
Yes.
There's
Let's talk about
Lindy
Fralin for a second.
Uh-oh.
No.
He's
Okay.
great.
I was gonna say,
We love Lindy. We love
he has
Lindy.
great pickups, man. It's like,
Yeah, he's great.
My theory on Lindy is he doesn't make a bad pickup,
no, he doesn't.
and they're great always, and different flavors, different styles. You know, what are you looking for? And he's such a cool guy.
Yeah,
He's a sweet.
super
He had him on
nice.
the show. He was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, he
had a great-
he does incredible stuff. But those G&L guitars, especially the one behind you, is a very underrated Strat.
Absolutely.
Really good guitars.
I agree. It's as good as
This is good anything.
as anything. Exactly. I mean,
Fralin.
you know, any high end Strat, it's as good.
And for me, like with Fralins, I just like. I mean, it's like Dave said, he doesn't make anything that isn't amazing, but I've always liked anything that's slightly overwound that he does. Just to me, sounds really, really good. I guess in back in the day, what was he calling it, Dave? Blues wound? Like there was hot. I can't remember all the.
So there was so the original ones were the vintage hots,
right,
which were a great sounding pickup.
Mm-hmm.
The second set of pickups he did was the Woodstocks.
Yep.
The reverse staggered magnets.
Yeah.
That didn't use the okay, so that the original ones used I remember it was like a copper color wire, and then there was like purple wire, which was the Woodstock ones. Now what coating was on each, I can't remember. I know some are form bar and some are something else, but it was from the era of Strat pickups.
Yeah.
So the vintage hots were from the 60s, and the Hendrix was the late 60s when it changed a bit. And to be honest, I'm not sure the magnets that are used in both of those or if they're the same or not.
Yeah.
And I used to love the Woodstock ones. I mean, I love the vintage hot ones. That they were more like the Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of stingy sort of Strat pickup, and then the Hendrix ones were a little bit rounder.
Mm-hmm.
But then he did the blues ones, which I think were kind of like the Hendrix ones with the regular stagger magnets.
And I think those were the ones that hooked me.
Yeah.
Initially, but yeah, I mean, he's always. It's like you said, that guy can't make a pickup. It doesn't sound great.
His hum canceling P90s.
I haven't tried those. Are they good? Yeah.
By far the best hum canceling P90 available.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they just sound really good. Do they sound exactly like a vintage P90? Maybe not, but do they sound great or as close as you're going to get with a hum canceling P90? Yes.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't tried those.
There's a couple other ones I haven't tried that I really want to try. He has like some sort of hum canceling tele pickup that is kind of a unique thing that he's doing now.
Nice.
That kind of came from the P90s.
Okay.
I'm like, I kind of want to hear what that is.
Well, yeah, because I mean, there's so many telecats, especially here in Nashville, that they really what they want is a P90 in the bridge, but not quite as fat.
I think that's what he does.
Yeah, so they want the tele pickup, but closer to a P90 kind of thing.
Like a hum canceling P90 and a tele pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds cool to me.
Nice. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Yep. Dig it.
We've got Simon Hosford. Hey, Simon. Hope you're doing well. Simon's an awesome player. He plays in an EVH where does a lot of really awesome EVH style playing. He's great. Who was it that asked 20 minutes ago about the Boss TAE reactive load? I have some good info from lots of hours mucking with it. Oh, I'm not sure who asked, but if they are still watching, check out Simon and reach out to him.
Mhm.
I think we've gotten down to the bottom of the chat, and I am getting pretty tired. So I don't know about you guys. It's getting late.
No, I'm good, man. Let's go.
Come on.
You ready to roll? You ready to keep going for the 4-hour
4-hour show,
marathon?
Mark. 4 hour.
You know, I had so much enthusiasm when we first started the show.
That's why you could do the 4-hour shows then.
When we first started, it was like 4 or 5 hours. Sure, we'll keep going. Now I'm like, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'm ready to die. So oh my god.
I think I did a 3-hour show with Jason the other day or something.
Yeah, you guys went long.
I think I didn't pay attention to what how long we went, but I know it was over 2 hours.
Yeah. That's a real lefty telly behind me over there. That's it's a custom shop relic, heavy relic strat. I mean telly. It's amazing. I absolutely love that guitar. If you want, I'll grab it real quick.
But if you fix your camera, will it be actually right-handed like it's supposed to be? Isn't there like a mirror setting or something?
Let me try that. The inversion. So it's
that looks nice. Oh,
yeah.
Ooh, the wood, the grain on the wood and that upper part. That was cool.
Yeah, the grain on this is great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they
pretty
really
scratched up though.
Yeah, they really did a great job on
Pretty
that.
cheap, but you can't play it, so you can't have it.
Yeah, this is great. Although it said when I bought it, it said no caster, but it still says Telecaster on it. So, but the paperwork says no caster, so I'm not really sure why that is.
That'd be a question for Tom Bukovac.
Yeah, but yeah, this is a great guitar, and I got it at a good price too. And now custom shop guitars from Fender are like really expensive.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for asking, Graphite and Guitars. Appreciate it.
4,500 might be the average for the custom shop.
Yeah, I paid 3,100 for it. So
Nice.
So how does that work? You get a custom shop guitar, you pay 3,100. Can I sell it for 4,500?
Maybe.
I mean,
Sell for whatever you want if someone will give you the money.
Yeah,
I mean, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm just
To the
like, can I
right
make
balance.
money on it? Am I making money on the deal or no? Maybe not.
Well, you know, first you got to find a lefty to sell it to.
That's yeah, that's the tough part.
Makes the market a little smaller.
It's so true. It's so true. Oh shit, it's like a reverse universe. I know, man. I've been dealing with it my whole life. All right. So we are we're gonna wrap up the show. I want to thank Derek and Shawn so much for you guys coming on the show. I know we've been talking about it for a while, and you guys are awesome. Both of you
Oh,
guys.
thanks for having us, man.
Oh, thanks. A ton of fun.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know, the one question I had for you, Derek, before you run, what's the biggest selling product for Rev?
Either probably the G3 pedal, as far as pedals go, and in amps, either the D20 or the G20.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, check out Sweetwater to make sure you go check out Rev products. They are there.
Yeah.
And
The best Rev product is the Tilt of all of our pedals, hands down. And I'm not saying that just because he's here, but hands down, it's the boost side of the Tilt I use with any amp. It doesn't matter, like not just our amps. I use it, and it's kind of an always on thing for me with anything that I play. And I had nothing to do with the design on any of it other than talking to Shawn and Dan and saying, hey, you guys should we should do a pedal with Shawn. And it's one of my favorite pedals. And I probably own 500 pedals. And I know that that's conflict of interest because we build it. But again, I had shit to do with it, and it sounds fucking great. So,
awesome.
yeah.
I like it, but I'm
Yeah.
Oh, it's a great pedal.
I'm really
it
happy
really is. I had to take it off my out of the chain there to show it. Guys, check out Ben Coombs' channel if you get a chance. He's gonna have Charles Green. I'm not familiar with him, but
Nice.
Sunday night. Ben's a nice guy.
Ben is a
Monitors
good
our
dude.
chat.
Yep.
And our next show is probably going to be an Ask Dave show. Haven't scheduled it yet. And then we've got some other people coming up. Who was the person I mentioned, Dave? I can't remember that I said was going to come on.
Not the one in the email that you sent.
No,
right?
no. This was
I don't know.
Oh, anyway.
I can probably dig up some people too.
Yeah, we've got
There's always people. It's funny that we always got to book these guests, right? And we're just like, who are we going to book now? We're going to book now. And then sometimes it just dawns on me, well, shit, what about him? Of course, I know him really well. I just call him on the phone. Hey.
Have you guys ever thought about Lyle Workman? Do you know Lyle, Dave?
Lyle, yeah, I know Lyle.
Get
Lyle.
on, man.
I want to do Billy Howardell.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be
Andy
really
Fuchs agreed to
Oh,
come on.
Andy Fuchs, yeah.
Nice.
So,
I want to do. There's a bunch I want to do. One of these days, we'll get Jerry Cantrell.
That would be sick.
Nice.
We have like pulling teeth to try to
Yes.
make this happen, but
Yeah. How cool would that be, though? What about if you
well,
guys had like
he agreed to it. It's just about scheduling, really.
yeah.
yeah, have you guys had Dean on yet? Dean DeLeo?
Yeah, we had Dean.
Did you get Dean? Okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
had Dean.
was-
I want to do Robert.
Yeah, Rob would be
Yeah,
awesome.
Dean said that he passed over the information to Robert, but I think they were touring at the time and
Yeah.
everything.
Get-
they're in
get
New
Robert, 'cause
Zealand
that
right
guy,
now.
That
I'll hit up
dude
Robert.
has an amp and guitar collection that's killer. He knows more about amps than I will ever know.
I'd love to have Robert on the show.
And
Robert's.
he's a sweetheart. He's the sweetest cat. It'd be so cool if you guys could get him on.
I mean, I've known both of those guys since like 1980,
Yeah.
or 9 or 90 or whatever.
Yeah,
The first
you go back as far as I do with him. I mean, yeah. Be awesome.
Well, thank you guys all for viewing the show and really appreciate it. We'll check out our social media and we'll announce when we're going to be back. You guys hang on while we get offline here, okay? And everybody have a great weekend. Thank
All right.
you. We
Cheers.
appreciate it.